Are you struggling to keep up with your monthly expenses? Are you finding it hard to save money for retirement or your children's education? If so, there is a good chance that you are falling into one of the most common money mistakes that people make when they try to build wealth. And this mistake can cost you tens of thousands of dollars every single year. But the worst part is that it doesn't have to be this way. Once you understand the simple concept behind this rule, you can drastically cut down on your spending habits and start building wealth much sooner. So today, I want to share with you my favorite rule that builds wealth and how you can use it to become a millionaire. So let's get right into it. This rule is called the $5 rule, but it has nothing to do with investing $5 or saving $5. Instead, it's about spending $5. In order to fully understand the impact of the $5 rule, we first need to take a step back and look at how most people spend their money. Most people spend their money without really thinking much about it. They swipe their debit card or credit card without a second thought. But the truth is that every dollar you spend is a vote for the type of lifestyle that you want. And if you're constantly casting votes for an extravagant lifestyle, then you should not be surprised if you end up with a modest outcome. But this also means that if you can start voting for an extravagant lifestyle, then you can dramatically change the outcome. And all it takes is a simple $5 habit. First, you need to decide what percentage of your total spending you want to keep in cash. For most people, I recommend keeping around 25% of your spending in cash. Next, you need to set a $5 limit for each purchase. When you go out to eat, for example, you tell yourself that you will spend no more than $5 on your meal. If you want to see a movie, you'll buy a ticket and bring your own snacks instead of buying overpriced popcorn at the theater. If you want to shop at the mall, you bring cash with you and only buy items that are within your budget. By setting a $5 limit for each purchase, you force yourself to be more mindful of your spending. You start to question whether you really need the things you're buying, and this simple change can have a huge impact on your finances. Let me give you an example. Let's say that you go out to eat once a week and spend an average of $10 per meal. If you continue this habit for 1 year, then you will spend $520 on eating out. But if you start using the $5 rule, then you will only spend $5 per meal. This means that you will save $470 over the course of 1 year. And that's just from one category of spending. Imagine how much more you could save if you apply the $5 rule to all of your spending categories. Maybe you spend $20 a week on coffee. If you start making coffee at home, you can easily save $800 over the course of 1 year. Or maybe you spend $50 a month on streaming services. If you cut back to just 1 or 2 services, then you can save $420 over the course of 1 year. The possibilities are really endless. You might be thinking that cutting back by just $5 is not going to make a big difference. But trust me, it does. This makes a big difference because it forces you to start thinking like a business owner. When you run a business, you don't just spend money because it's there in your bank account. You carefully track your expenses and make sure that every dollar you spend is bringing in more dollars in return. And that's exactly what you start doing when you start using the $5 rule. It forces you to think twice before you spend money and to ask yourself whether it's really worth it. So let's put this into perspective. Let's say that you were able to save an extra $1,000 per year by using the $5 rule. I guess you invest that money in stock market and earn an average of 7% per year. Then you will have over $62,000 in 30 years. Or if you're able to save an extra $2,000 per year, then you will have over $124,000 in 30 years. And if you're able to save an extra $5,000 per year, then you will have over $310,000 in 30 years. And the best part is that all it takes is a simple $5 habit. You don't need to make a lot of money to become a millionaire. You don't need to win the lottery. All you need to do is make small changes to your spending habits and invest the money you save. However, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking that you already know all of this stuff. We all know that we shouldn't be spending money on things we don't need. But the problem is not knowing. The problem is actually doing it. You see, we are all guilty of mindlessly spending money on things we don't need. It's easy to do when everything you want is just a few clicks away. But the $5 rule is a great way to break out of this cycle. It's a simple rule that's easy to follow, yet it has a profound impact on your spending habits. And if you can stick to it for just a few weeks or months, then you will start to see a big difference in your finances. But the biggest benefit of the $5 rule is that it helps you stay accountable. When you use cash, you're forced to be more mindful of your spending. because you can physically see the money leaving your wallet. And this simple act of taking out your wallet and handing over cash for goods and services can help you avoid impulse purchases and better manage your finances. Of course, the $5 rule is not a perfect system. There are some things that you simply cannot buy with cash. For example, you can't pay for a flight or a hotel room with cash. And if you want to buy something expensive, then it would be impractical to carry around a wheelbarrow full of cash to the store. In these cases, it's perfectly fine to use your debit or credit card. Just make sure that you are still following the $5 rule when you use these methods of payment. That means you should still be limiting your spending to just $5 per purchase. For example, if you're booking a flight, then you should be looking for flights that cost no more than $5. I know that this sounds crazy, but there are actually websites where you can find flights for just a few dollars. I've personally taken advantage of these websites and I was able to travel to Europe for less than $100. So don't just dismiss this idea out of hand. There are plenty of ways to use the $5 rule even when you're making large purchases. If you're willing to be flexible and creative, then you can easily find ways to save money on everything you buy. So I encourage you to give the $5 rule a try for at least 30 days. Just commit to spending no more than $5 on any purchase and see how much money you can save. You may be surprised at how much you can save by simply being more mindful of your spending. But if you want to take things to the next level, then I recommend watching this video right here. Cover a simple concept that helped me double my net worth in less than 2 years. It's a game-changing strategy that anyone can use to become a millionaire. Right. So make sure to watch it now.